Obstacles everywhere. All right. So you ready for an ATM? Slightly different orientation again. So hands and knees and cheek. Cheek. Your right cheek. Yes, the one on your face. So think about how you're going to organise this, and you might want to start with a bit of padding under your face just to lift you a little higher there. Just so get some things that you can put under your head, under your face, and you can kind of experiment with this as we go through. So you might want to start with a little bit there, and maybe you can take it out as you go, or just see. So the starting position, well, Feldenkrais, this is an Alexander Yanai lesson, so none of the build-up that you've had. And he starts saying, on your hands and knees, put a handkerchief on the floor and put your cheek on it. So you don't need a handkerchief, but you might want to put something that just means you don't have to go so low to start with. So take a little bit of time to find a way to do this. So you want your pelvis up, so you are on your hands and knees, you're not kind of sitting back on your heels. And your right, do we start with right cheek? This is, yes, I did say right cheek, thank you, but I could have been wrong. So your right cheek is on the floor, your hands are on the floor, and your arms are standing. So your wrists are going to be bent, your palms are down. How far do you need your hands away from your head, to the right and to the left? And can you breathe? And what's happening with your big global muscles around your shoulders, through your back, in your legs? So just get used to that position to start with, and just see, can you still move? Do you still have options in your trunk, in your shoulders, in your arms? And can you still breathe? And so the first thing we're all going to do is to find a way to roll your head a little bit more towards the top so that your chin lifts a little. So it's still on the side. So how do you do that allows your head to be passively rolling towards the top and then coming back again? So use your pelvis, use your back. What shape do you make through your trunk to do this? So slowly and softly. So you feel that track from the side of your chin, the side of your jaw, up your cheek, towards your temple, but your head stays to the side. You're not rotating. It's just this roll up and roll down again along the side of your face. You're looking towards the left. Your right cheek's on the floor. Just a few rights and lefts. Oh, yeah, sure, unless there's a reason. Good. A few times, softly, gently, finding how do you do this shifting of weight on your head. Your head stays fairly light so that it can move, and the work comes from the larger, more powerful muscles without locking them up. And then have a rest. And you can rest lying down, you can rest sitting, however you want to rest. And in fact, have a lie down on your back and just see whether that movement on its own has made a difference to your right and your left side. As you rest on your back, what do you notice about your right side compared to your left side? It will, yeah. But you can try it, and maybe put some. Is the problem your wrists, or Let's do little bits and see if you can keep it. Good. So notice your right shoulder and your left shoulder. 2 arms, 2 sides of your trunk, pelvis, your legs, your breathing. Good. And then come back onto your hands and knees with your right cheek on the floor. And see, each time you come back into this position, can you find a way for it to be a little bit more comfortable? Yeah? Think of everything you learned about hip joints the other day. So this time, can you start to do a movement where you turn your head, your nose comes a little away from the floor, as if you're trying to look towards the ceiling. And how do you do this? If you just do it with your neck, you're going to have a lot of trouble and probably be sore. So think of what parts of you can move to let your head roll like this softly. So you're shifting more towards the back of your ear and your eyes are looking towards the ceiling. And just notice when I say that, if you feel like you have to look directly above you, or if you can think, oh, the ceiling's over to the side as well. So you're looking towards some part of the ceiling in a way that still allows you to breathe. And what shape are you making through your trunk now? Can you feel that one shoulder lifts, the other one goes down? Can your arms be soft enough to let that happen? And so you get that twisting, that turning through your upper back, and your chest and your belly get long. And then you come back each time so you can start again, and don't overwork. Feel that your head is the end point of the movement that starts with your pelvis, through your whole back. And is there a shifting of weight? Happens on your knees. And then have another rest. Lie on your back again. Burning lots of rests on your back here, because it is a challenging position, but also to give you a chance to feel the difference each time. What's that bit done? What's that bit done? So just check in, feel what's happening. And then come up again onto your hands and knees, same cheek. Experiment with different height padding if you like. Give yourself more or less height. Check your breathing, belly. And this time, can you bring your right arm through underneath you so that it goes across to the other side? Yeah, so the right back of your hand is on the floor, the right palm is towards your ceiling, the ceiling, your ceiling, whatever. And this time, turn your head again the same way. So you're looking towards the ceiling with this turning of your head. What happens when your arm is here? You feel that shifting of weight across the back of your right shoulder. What happens in your legs, in your pelvis? And the idea of looking towards the ceiling, so your eyes can help you with this direction, this orientation. That's it. And then just close your right eye and continue to do the movement with your left eye looking towards the ceiling each time. So really thinking that your left eye is going to look a little further each time while your right eye stays closed. And if, like me, that's actually really tricky to close one eye when you're in this kind of orientation, you can close both eyes but really think of the left eye, that you're looking through the left eye. Take a rest whenever you like. That's absolutely the best way to organise yourself. And then change eyes. So close your left eye and think of your right eye now looking towards the ceiling each time. So the right eye is doing that turning, looking, coming across. Is it different depending on which eye you're looking through? You still have all of yourself in your image here. And then again with both eyes. That's it. And this right arm that's underneath you, you could have a sense of that lengthening forwards a little bit each time so that it doesn't stay stuck on the floor and your head doesn't stay stuck. Your weight's shifting. But don't force it. And let it go again. Have a rest, however you want to rest. That's it. And see what's happened now. The differences between your right and left getting more and more. Is there any part of you that you're really noticing seems to be changing? And just notice if, you know, this little tendency to achieve. So when I say look towards the ceiling, you know, it's towards. Let everything come back to a resting place. And then up again. Hands and knees, cheek. Oh. This time have your hands again, both hands on the floor. And your cheek. That's it. So your hands are back where they started. Wrists are bent, forearms are, you know, maybe close to vertical. Fine. And again, this is another thing you can experiment with. How far away you want your hands from your head. Whereabouts. And now start to do a circle around this right side of your face. So you're not going towards, your nose will never come actually to the floor. So you're really thinking it's around the right side, around your right cheek. So basically we're doing a clock. We've done up and down, we've done across. Now we're combining this into a circle, but with the idea that your head is just this kind of ball at the end of your spine, that your shoulders can be soft enough to allow that movement to come all the way through, that your pelvis needs to move, your weight needs to shift, not just on your face, but in all of you. How long is the front of you? Are you allowing those big global muscles to move rather than to brace so that you can make these shapes through your spine, through your trunk? And as you're making circles with this right side of your face, what else is making a circle? Maybe you can feel circles in your pelvis, in your hip joints. Maybe not quite circles, but some kind of, movement through each shoulder, your elbows, your wrists. Feel all of the movement available in your ribs, your sternum. Great. And then let that go and come up to sitting. Just sit sort of symmetrically. So might be on your knees, it might be cross legs. And put one hand on your head and just take your head to the right and to the left and feel the difference. Which way is easier? And then change arms, change hands. So is there a noticeable difference in the folding, in the weight shifting? Okay. And then stand up. And see how it is to stand on each leg. Shift your weight onto your right leg, onto your left leg. What do you notice? Is there more length in you as you stand on one leg than the other? What happens to your breathing? You're able to move in different directions on one leg more easily than the other leg. And then have a walk around. No. Okay, so this is what Julie said. Alexander, and I went, really? I've never noticed that. You do a bit on one side, you do a bit on the other side. So you might have noticed we've only done one side. Well, no, lots of rests in this, interestingly. I think it's pretty challenging. So, you know, we've been primed for this lesson. We've done all of that movement on the top of our head, feeling all how we can get all of these options for movement through our trunk. Are people feeling pretty one-sided? Yeah? Yeah. Okay, come back to your mat. Onto your hands and knees and cheek the other way, head the other way. So your left cheek, your left face cheek is on the floor.
No fun. That's like cheek.
Yeah, cheeky. Yes, yes. I'm glad you can still laugh. That's good. You just wait. So now turn your head the other way. Okay, hands wherever you can organise to have them in a way that helps to support your head, but they don't need to take a lot of weight. So how do you support your weight here? Yeah? We did all of this stuff with the hip joints and your ability to move in a similar position. So start by just having this idea of rolling your head a little more towards the top of your head and then a little more towards your chin. So you're rolling lengthways down this left side of your face. But how are you organising it? That's the thing. Can your head feel like it is being rolled by the rest of you? What shape do you make in your trunk? What's the strategy here? You feel that your low back can be part of this. Your chest can help. And that your shoulders can be soft enough that they're not holding you, bracing you, so that your neck is free to move in this very strange orientation. That's it. And then have a little rest, wherever you want to rest. So you might want to go onto your back. You might find going onto your back and up again is, you know, a bit tiring, so you can rest in sitting, however you want to do it, but it won't be a long rest. Unless you choose to make it a long rest, which is your option. So even just doing that little bit, if you're lying, can you sense that that's changed things again? Okay, back on your hands and knees. That's it. And you're on your left cheek again. And now you're going to roll your head so that your head shifts more towards the back of your head, behind your ear, and you start to look towards the ceiling a little. And feel what's different in this direction. And you sense that shifting of weight. Weight comes onto your left leg as you roll towards the back of your head. But one shoulder needs to be able to go up and the other shoulder needs to be able to go down to let your head roll like this, so that you're not asking just your neck to do this. That's it. Without forcing, just the direction. And then come up for a little pause. Just sit back, just to pause for a moment. Just again to give yourself a rest out of that position. And then back again, but this time bring your left arm through underneath you so that it's across the other side, palm up towards the ceiling. That's it. So your weight changes. Again, your weight bearing starts you in this twisted position. So from there, start to roll your head so that you can look more towards the ceiling. And find this twist all the way through your trunk, rolling over that left shoulder. And try each eye. Close your left eye first and look with your right eye towards the ceiling. Your right eye's turning, looking with your right eye towards the ceiling each time and then coming back. And how does that give you something extra in this movement? And then try the other eye. So close your right eye and look with your left eye towards the ceiling. And you might find that gradually you can see a little more of the ceiling each time as you do this. So your left arm is helping you to make this turn, but your whole trunk, all of those little joints of your spine are contributing. And then let both eyes look towards the ceiling. And as both eyes come into it, see if that left arm lengthens a little across. All the way, that's it. And then come back, have a rest again. You can rest on your back if you like, or in sitting. So if you're on your back again, just check what's going on. What's changing with each of these variations. Your contact with the floor, this difference between the right side and the left side. Do your eyes feel different? So come back onto your hands and knees. Left side of your face on the floor. Both hands on the floor this time. And we're going to make circles around your left cheek now. So we're putting all of those movements together. Your flexion extension that helps you roll your head up and down. All this rotation, twisting through your trunk. It goes side to side. And what else is going on? How much of you is in your image as you do this? How is the weight shifting? Where are you generating this movement from? Can you still breathe? Can your shoulders stay soft enough that they don't get in the way, and in fact they help by being able to move? What's happening in your hip joints as your weight shifts side to side, a little bit forwards and back, to allow your head to kind of be passively rolled around like this. You have a sense of the top of your sternum, your C7, T1, these upper ribs and lower ribs. And let that go. Sit back. And just find, again, bring your hand up, take your head one way and the other way. Has it changed? Has it flipped over to the other side, or has it evened up? And then stand up. Test how you take your weight through each leg, through each side of you. Have a little walk. And see what you can discover about what's changed in your organisation now. When you go from 5 points to 2 points, how free is your head to move? Okay, and come back again when you've explored that enough. I didn't mention your shoulders, just because this is what I really noticed in myself. Can you feel that one shoulder's a little freer, a little higher, dropped a little? Anyway, hopefully you noticed that all by yourself. Come back onto your hands and knees. And put your left cheek on the floor. That was the last one you had on. So that's, and bring your left arm across underneath you again. That's it. And this time bring your right hand to rest on your left hand, right palm onto your left palm. So your arms are outstretched out to the right side. And again, start to turn your head to look towards the ceiling, just softly, just to find that movement. And then the next time, could you lift your right arm towards the ceiling and follow it with your eyes? That's it. It doesn't say, so you can experiment, but I think toes down, but see what you think. Yeah. So Glenn just asked, is it toes in that standing position or toes flat? So you can experiment with this and see, does one make it easier? So each time your arm lifts, your head goes with it, your eyes go, so it's not just a movement of your shoulder. You're getting more of a twist, and you might find that that left arm that's coming across underneath you can get a little longer each time. Not by pressing on your head, but just by being able to, just feeling this, the power from your legs and your pelvis that allows your head to be light on the floor and maybe allows a little movement through that underneath arm as well. And don't be too ambitious here. Feel what the important thing is, how you organise this, not how far you can go. You feel all of that. I mean, he's really got us into this extreme position here. Feel all of that rotation through every part of you. Okay. So then just have a little pause there. Okay. And when you're ready to come back, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to, if you can bring your arm towards the ceiling, wherever it goes in that direction, and then start to rotate through the length of your arm. Right? So bring your arm up as far as it's comfortable to go, and then it's like you've got this, a corkscrew or a giant screwdriver that you're going to turn around the axis of your arm. So you're rotating it, that's it. So if you put your hand as if you're holding something and start to rotate it, that's it. And once you've got the idea of this, you can enlarge the movement. So you actually need to include more of your back, more of your shoulder blade, more of your shoulder girdle. So that's it. And it's like as you turn, you're going to lengthen as you turn towards the ceiling. And then as you rotate, you can bring, the other way, you can bring your shoulder down towards the floor at the front. So your arm stays vertical. We got the idea of this? Yes. So your arm stays vertical-ish, yeah, up towards the ceiling. But there's this large reaching, turning, and coming down and turning. And you can play with it. People who can get their arms very high can play with whether the shoulder blade comes back behind you and also what it's like to bring your shoulder down in front of you. So either of those is an option. If your arm doesn't go right into that vertical position, then when you come down, the shoulder's going to come down at the front. Is this making sense? Have a rest whenever you need it. It's bringing every part of your back and your trunk into this movement of your arm. Okay. And have a rest. Lie down on your back. So you know the way this lesson is set up is one of those, you know, we often in these lessons using movements of your limbs to get into your trunk. And this is like, you know, how do you make this extraordinary movement of your hand in this position that brings every part of your spine? You have to rotate, you have to side bend, you have to flex extend, you have to get every part of your torso into this. And what do you notice on the floor? When you let that go, when you come back to rest, how do your two shoulders feel? your shoulder blades, your rib cage, your legs and your pelvis. So can you imagine doing that on your other side? Because that's what we're going to do next. Just, you can rehearse this while you're lying there. Imagine the way that you would have your head turned, which side your arms would be, how to lift the top arm in the direction of the ceiling, and how to start this rotation movement through your arm with a lengthening and a shortening of your arm at the same time, and how that might feel all the way through you. So if you're ready to have a go of that, come back onto your hands and knees. Right cheek down this time. Arms outstretched across towards your left. That's it. Find the position for your pelvis, for your knees, toes. And start to lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. And feeling that that movement is a rotation through your whole trunk. It includes your shoulder girdle, but your whole spine. And can you do it without holding your breath? Well, if you try and hold your breath, this will be pretty hard. And when you've got the idea of your arm being able to get towards the ceiling, that may not get there. It might be, 45-degree angle. That's totally fine as well. But start to add this rotation through the length of your arm and your shoulder girdle. And as you turn, you lengthen, you turn the other way, you shorten. And this has to be a movement through your whole shoulder girdle, your ribs. How can you stay comfortable on your head? What happens in your underneath shoulder, in your pelvis? And whichever way there's these two components of rotation and lengthening, shortening. So have a go of each variation. You can turn clockwise as you lengthen and anti-clockwise as you shorten, or you can go the other way. So whichever way you've been doing, just see what happens if you change that around. There's one way that kind of allows this big movement of your shoulder forwards and down towards the floor. That movement through your upper ribs, sternum, everything needs to move. And when you've had enough of that, let it go and have a rest. Rest on your back and check in what's happened now. What did that last variation shift in you, in your sense of yourself on the floor? So we're not finished. There's even more. And so you might decide that this is enough for you. If you've been struggling with this, you know, take the chance to rest. You can observe. But if you're willing to do a little bit more, see if you can discover a little bit more about this position and these movements, and come back onto your knees. I'm going to let you choose whichever side you want to have your cheek on the floor. So wherever, if you've got a preference, if one side's easier for you, do that side. And bring your arms across, outstretched, in the direction that you're facing, whichever side you're facing. And get as comfortable as you can. How much do you need under your head? How do you spread your weight here? Where do you want your pelvis? How can you breathe? Okay. So if you're okay with this, bring your arm, the top arm up, again, in the direction towards the ceiling. And from here we're going to make circles around. So now it's actually making a circle in the air with your hand. But we want, if you just try and do this with your shoulder, you're going to make it very difficult for your shoulder. So how much of you can you include to help you to do this? Now the image Feldenkrais uses is as if you're swinging a stone on the end of a rope. So for me that's a bit spooky because when I'm going slowly it hits me in the head. So I think a balloon works just as well, you know, because it's not going to fall down. But still, in order to make it go around in a circle, you need a little bit of momentum. And so you can start to enlarge your circle a little bit, but you can feel there's a point that you kind of swing through, yeah? And make the circle in whatever plane feels easiest. So it doesn't have to be exactly parallel to the ceiling. It kind of goes around you. That's it. And if you can do that circle, you're going to find that your shoulder needs to come around behind you. So this underneath arm can slide a little bit to let you do that. Your head needs to be as soft on the floor as you can make it. That's it. You can go slowly, you can go quickly, you can go small, you can go big, but keep breathing. Sense how your weight shifts when you're doing this. Yeah? Comes right over to one knee, right over to one leg, hip, as you swing around. That's it. Don't overdo. And let it go. Have a rest on your back. And as you're resting, you can sense yourself, let yourself come back to a resting place, check that you're okay, you're not trying too hard to achieve too much. But you might also, well, I think it's interesting in this lesson to see how it brings together a whole lot of things that we've been thinking about in other lessons. How we arrange ourselves on different points, not just our feet. How we can get our pelvis to do the big work and to allow our head to be free and light, even if our head's down and our pelvis is up. how we need to include all of us in each action, that we need to be aware of not bracing and co-contracting if we want movement through our trunk in all directions. What else do we need? What else is in here? Breathing, of course. Orientation. And there's probably a whole lot more. So, if you're ready to come up again and do the other side, then do that. But please keep at the forefront that you need to be comfortable, that it's best not to get caught up in achievement. That's not part of what we're doing here. So in your own time, organise yourself in such a way that you can bring your arms outstretched in the direction that you're looking towards. You can bring your arm up towards the ceiling, and that you can start to make circles around in the air so that your arm can go in all directions. But you could think of is the centre of your circle this upper shoulder, or is it somewhere else? Maybe you could feel that you're kind of turning everything over your underneath shoulder somehow. And all the time just check that you're still breathing, that you're still comfortable, that you have a sense of every part of you being able to move. Are your feet still in your image as you do this? So that you can feel the weight shifting as you rotate around. Are you looking at your arm as you do that? Is that a possibility? And does that somehow help your head to not get stuck? To keep that movement free in your neck, through this whole upper part of your spine, all the way down to your pelvis. You can try a little faster, a little slower. Feel there's a point that you kind of start to swing, if you remember that swinging the bucket thing that we did a while ago. Don't think of swinging a bucket here, you'll get wet. But it's a similar thing. That all of you needs to support this movement of your arm. Okay, let it go. Rest on your back. This is your last rest. And what's your sense of yourself as you lie here now? Have you woken up some parts of you? Found connections? How does your right side compare to your left side now? What do you sense in your face, in your eyes? And when you're ready, you can roll to your side and come up to standing. What do you notice? So how do you feel that you want to explore this organisation? So it might be you want to shift your weight, it might be you want to move your arms, you might want to look around. Just feel what comes into your curiosity, I suppose. Maybe lift an arm or both arms. Feel how you shift your weight. And maybe you'd like to take that into the next level of walking around and feeling how you walk. And just stay with that feeling for a little bit. When you're walking, is there any one part of you that you really notice? Or is it more a relationship between 2 or 3 or 4 parts? What do you feel like you'd like to go and do now in terms of activity? Dance. So one time after this I went swimming, amazing. And another time after this I went for a run, also pretty interesting. Maybe you could dance, maybe you could hang out the washing, put the light bulb in. All the things that you've used as reference movements. Can you feel how they might be altered now? You might know something more about them. So you can go for a break, see what it's like to drink a cup of tea.